Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, September 9th, 2025. So we start off with Gabby and Tony because remember, Gabby sent Tony a voicemail message frantically saying that, look, I'm afraid that Xander and Philip will find out that I'm the mole and I can't have this. Like, I need your help. So she went over to his place and he's saying that, he sounded rather urgent on the voicemail. Like, what's up? So she said, like, don't you understand that, like, what if Xander and Philip find out that I'm behind this, and what if they decide to legitimize Philip before we can strike? Like, I'm worried about that. So, Tony said, look, we are gonna find out. We're gonna find out that they actually lied about this whole takeover, and we're gonna do something about it. Don't worry about it. So she's saying that you look, the room was bugged. So, he's trying to say, like, she had to be a lot more careful than that. So she's like, are you trying to blame me? Are you trying to, like, not do this thing with me being the CEO of the America? Because this contract was ironclad and all that. So he's like, don't worry about it. We're gonna make sure that happened, and that they won't find out that you're the mole. I got it handled. So she's like, stay in touch when you have a plan, right? So I, for one, don't believe that Tony's definitely gonna be a man of his word about letting Gabby be the CEO. And look, if it falls through, I'm here for it, because honestly, Gabby, you were very snake like to be doing all of this. And at some point, Tony is on the phone with Rita asking if the Demir jet has landed. So we already know, based on the spoilers for this week, that Tio is definitely supposed to make an appearance. I don't know if Tony wants to use him as, the head of the company, but let us see. I'm here for it, because Gabby, karma's gonna bite you. So, anyways, back to Xander and Philip. They're just discussing personal matters. Xander wants Philip to attend his daughter's first birthday, and it is so touching, right? And Philip is surprised at that as well. And he said, look, we have to make a good appearance, especially not just personally, but for the company. We need to be, acting as brothers. And, you need to be there for your niece. So he's saying, are you sure Sarah's gonna like that? I'm there or you're there. So he's like, look, at the end of the day, it's for my daughter. And, that is what it is. So Philip starts asking, like, hey, if you can work on forgiving me, what about Sarah? So it's like the betrayal is a lot more deeper than that. Like, Sarah was the one person that I trusted. She was supposed to be loyal to me. She stabbed me in the back. I don't think there is no point of reconciliation or forgiving her, right? So, Philip doesn't believe that, because again, he knows that Xander loves her and Sarah loves him, and he said love isn't enough. Like, it's not gonna work out. So he dropped it, right? Now they're figuring out, like, how they're going to take care of this bug situation, because all the rooms are clear of any extra bugs or anything like that. And it's been swept clean, so it's secure. So now they need to figure out who is really behind it, because Titan needs the mirror to really function. Titan is not really doing so well, and with the merger, it has been turning profits. So they need to hold on to the mirror as best as possible, right? So Philip is on board with signing the papers, because the lawyers are working on it as they speak to make him be a legit CEO of Titan without no backlash, right? So that is what they are working on, and they are looking forward to seeing how this thing works out in the end, right? There was a part with Xander alone wrapping gifts for his daughter and, making sure they're perfect for the day. And I just like to see him in this light, right? So Kat shows Rafe the blueprint of EJ's, expansion of the hospital, right? So she asked him what that is about. He said that was where they shot the soap opera Body and Soul. So it seems legitimate, but Rafe, knowing EJ for many years, he's saying that EJ always has something up his sleeve. He's very nefarious. There's always something to it, right? It can't be that he's doing this for the greater good and all of that. He believes that there is a hidden agenda, and that is their job to prove it, right? So she said, everybody has been warning her to stay away from EJ, including Brady and then, his own brother. So Rafe also agrees with them that, look, EJ might be charming and all of that, but at the same time he hurts everybody that he cares about or seems to care about or love, including his own friends, family. Like, look at what happened with his own son, right? So you got to be careful around him. He can possibly hurt you as well too, right? So he wants to take down EJ because, again, it's not even professional no more. It's just a personal matter. He has really ruined his life over the years, especially when they loved the same woman that was Sammy. And EJ tried to just destroy everything regarding him, his own personal life. He was supposed to marry to Jade and all of that. So he wants to take down EJ now more than ever. Speaking of EJ shows Chad his new office, and Chad is surprised at how modest it looks because, knowing his brother, he thought that with all the budget cuts, that this office would be looking like, I guess, Buckingham Palace or something like that. So he said, he wanted it to be, more flair to it, but at least he's saving money for what's more important. So he shows Chad the blueprint of what he's trying to work on and call it the Demare Family Free Clinic. So Chad is skeptical as usual. He's saying, like, what's in it for you? Because, this is not like you. What have you done with my brother? So he said that, look, I'm trying to, like, launder our family name. Like, everybody look at us as pariahs. And he said, you mean everybody look at you as a pariah, like your son and Belle? So it's like they're at the top of the list. But I really want people to see that we can do good as well in the community. And this is a great start. And, Chad is saying, like, look, if this is really true, I'm definitely proud of you. Anything I can do to help you, I'm there for you, right? So anyways, he also mentioned, like, to take care of his new assistant. So EJ again brings up the point that, look, I know how you feel about her, and he just asks him point blank, like, admit that you have feelings for her, admit that you really deeply care for her. So he does tell EJ that, look, I do have feelings for her, so that's why I don't want you to hurt her. So, EJ, is gloating about the fact that Chad finally admitted to it, and he said, look, she seems to be a great assistant so far. I'm not gonna try to mess that up or hurt her in any way. You have my word, right? So he's like asking, like, how does anybody else know? So Chad said, no, keep it on the wraps. Not even my kids know. And he said, even Abigail's family said, not even them. And I really don't want to, create any more drama because Julie is already not fond of her. Jennifer doesn't want her on her own grandkids. So we're trying to just keep this on the low, right? So Philip runs into Gabby in the square, and he's asking her what she's up to. So she says that she's doing some window shopping to avoid her from calling Ari every 5 seconds, right? So he said, maybe let's have a late dinner. You can tell me about what's going on with Ari. I put on my good listening face. So she takes him up on the offer, and they're sitting at the bistro. She's looking over the bar, and he's asking her why. So she said that because last time I was here, they threw me and Xander out, and I just don't want that to happen today. So she fills him in more in depth onto what happened. It's not even the kiss that threw them out. It's really Sarah and Brady showed up, and then they had, some argument, and then Sarah and Brady kissed, and that fueled Xander's anger. Xander wanted to punch Brady, and that's how we got thrown out. So Philip now understand why Xander was hungover the next day, right? So she said, yeah, it definitely triggered him. And he said, I guess we have to use that because, he did take up therapy that time, and, he's now trying to change and, deal with his anger, and now we're doing really well. So she said, oh, I can see that your relationship is doing well. So he said, how did you know about that? So she said, I'm a great observer, and, when I walked in and heard about what happened to the office, I saw you guys coming close together. So he said, yeah, there's a big situation, so we have to come together for the company. But yeah, Xander has definitely trying to change for the better, and the working environment is a lot better. So she said, I see that you're trying to stay with Titus. So he said, yeah, my family needs me, and that's important, right? So she's just there smiling ahead, and he's saying that, look, the moment we find the mole, they're going to wish they never deal with the Kiriakis brothers. So she's there smiling herself off. I can't wait till they find out that it's you. So this scene, as always, I hate when they start off with Stephanie and Alex because I get really annoyed when they're on. So there's nothing much of substance when it comes down to these two, other than again about this book and this conference. And Xander said that, not Xander, Alex says that, look, there's a press conference tomorrow and she has to attend. So she said she can't go as the author. So obviously, he's saying like, come as Stephanie, the PR extraordinaire. So she said she can't even go because she's gonna have a busy day tomorrow, right? So he's bummed out about it. But then they start to kiss and do what they normally do, just over romanticizing and all of that. It's very annoying. So, anyways, she gets a call or a text message from EJ that he wants to meet up with her. And then Alex also gets a notification from Xander that it's an emergency meeting, so they both have to get into work. And they said okay, they will pick up I guess page 87, whatever that is in the novel, later on, right? At some point later on, after their meetings, respective meetings, they do talk. And Alex is asking Stephanie like, look, what do you know about the person who definitely sent the FOIA request? Do you know anything about it? So she said she can't reveal that, but he said, look, you have to, because the room was bugged and we need to know who was definitely behind, who planted the bug. So now it might affect the company can go down, so we definitely need to know the source, right? So I don't know how this is gonna go with Stephanie, possibly revealing her father, because her father is not that, yeah, as much as he did that, he was the one who actually planted that bug in the pen, right? So let's see how this really works out. So, like I was saying earlier, Xander did have that meeting with Alex, and he tells him about how the room was bugged and that security had to go through and, go through every room and question everybody and debug and whatever. So now, it's really coming down to the wire where they have to do something about making sure the company is secure, stable. So he asks Alex like, does he know of anybody that was here? And he asked about Stephanie, because remember, Stephanie was the one who shut down the FOIA request. And he wanted to know if she knows any more information, and she's also working with EJ. Could be a Demera in Intel or whatever. So Alex tried to be defensive and said that, look, Stephanie is working not only for them but for us as well. She's very loyal. I don't think she has anything to do with this. But at this point, Xander is not taking any chances. He wants Alex to find out what's going on, or else. So he's saying like, or else what? I'm gonna lose my job. So he said, no, it's not about you losing your job, but our company can go down, and it's gonna mess up your uncle, my father's reputation, right? So I'm just asking you to just ask her what is going on, who is really behind the FOIA request, so that we can find out who really planted the bug in the long term, right? He also tells Alex that, look, I'm trying to do what I can do to legitimize Philip as a CEO as soon as possible. The lawyers is speaking. Lawyers is working on it as we speak, right? So Alex agrees with that idea as well, that they need to put on a united front for the company. Now, also earlier when Stephanie had her meeting with EJ is going through the blueprints and showing her also the expansion, where all the different centers are going to be, I guess dental care and all of that. So Stephanie is liking the whole plan and the intentions behind it. She's pleasantly surprised because, when you deal with somebody like EJ Demera, this is not really the intention that you're expecting. So, anyways, look like, I'm trying to do good for the community. He's sticking by his story, and, anyways, he tells her the name of the free clinic, the Demera Family Free Clinic. She's not liking that. She said, as much as everything else seems like a PR dream, that name is a nightmare, because again, a lot of people look at the Demera family as, monsters, pariahs, whatever you call it, right? So it might not be good from a PR perspective, and she's advising against it to name it something else, right? So he wants to keep the name, but she's saying that, look, my mom has worked at this kind of clinic for years, and then she has the staff that definitely support her. So if you go forward with it, it's not a guarantee that they're going to be behind it. So, EJ seems to think that they will be for it, but Stephanie, again, is strongly advising that it might not work. If you want them in your corner, it's probably best not to start off with that kind of name for the clinic. So she suggests that he names it Tom Horton free clinic or whatever. So he thinks about it, and she said, why not honor the man who was the first chief of staff, who started this whole thing, the legacy. So he said, okay, let's go with it, right? So she appreciates that whole thing, and they will stay in touch, right? But I have a feeling that this is not gonna go as how it should go, right? Chad and Kat meet up in the square, and they're talking about Mark and how she went to see him, and she told him what Chad told her about him not writing the letter, not opposing him coming out. So he's grateful towards him as well. So Chad said, I hope it helps his case and it helps you guys to heal. But at the same time, if he's going to be living with you, we need to revisit our situation, because I really don't want to, have a relationship and we are in the same place. And if he's staying there, it's going to be awkward. So we need to talk about it. So she said, we are creative. We're going to, make a way around this. So he said, look, like I told my brother about us. So she's surprised. So he said, look, he knows me very well. And, it didn't take long for him to figure out that I actually do have feelings for you and all that. So that's why I really wanted us to talk more about our relationship, right? So they're there gushing over each other and they want to kiss, but again, it's in public, and then we have EJ and Rafe having their thing over there, and it probably wouldn't be the best time for them to be doing any PDA, right? So while they were there talking about what they're talking about, EJ and Rafe are there talking, usual spots as usual, and Rafe said he heard about Johnny being exonerated, is happy about that. So EJ said, no thanks to you, because you're the one who brought him there to the police station in the first place, right? So anyways, they're going back and forth, and he said, look, I heard about you in the hospital. And EJ said that, look, I'm doing a good thing. So I really don't believe it, but just know that I'm on to you, and I am also watching you. So EJ said that, look, I have a lot in store, all of that, right? So Chad and Kat come over, and EJ introduces Kat to Rafe, and Rafe just tells her that, look, just be careful of this one, right? And that was really about it, right? Now, remember in the spoilers for this week, and as I was saying earlier, that Theo is definitely coming back to Salem. So he's the one that actually took the flight to Salem that Tony arranged. And Tony opens the door for him, and he's happy to be back and into the DeMera family fold. But he said that, look, like, why am I here? What's going on? So this sound pretty urgent. So Tony is just there smiling, I guess it's about the company, the family company, him being involved in that. But look, I like this Theo so far because he seems pretty cutthroat than the other ones. Let's see if he's about that business. But yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.